Hey guys, Dustin here, and welcome to another episode of Horroritis. This episode, we've got another indie movie called An Hour to Kill. This movie is another anthology movie, and the wraparound story follows two hitmen. They've got an hour to kill before their next hit, and so they tell each other's stories. Now, these stories start off pretty mundane, typical horror stuff, and progressively get into the weird. The wraparound story itself is fairly tame. It's, two hitmen. One's an old hand at the job. The other one's kind of a new kid who can't keep his mouth shut and won't take things seriously. And they get a job from their boss, but they have to wait an hour to do it. So they tell each other stories in the car while they're waiting. And the first one is Valkyrie's Bunker. Supposedly, back in the 80s, it was a group of girls that heard about some World War II Nazi bunker hidden in the mountains of California somewhere, and they decide to go find it because it's supposedly surrounded by pot. According to the legend, the bunker is also inhabited by the son of a Nazi who lived and grew up in the bunker and now kills anyone who comes near. So as the girls search for the bunker in the woods and find it, they also find trouble. The second story is called Massacre and revolves around an eating competition and a very spicy pepper. The third and final story is called Hog Hunting, and oh my god, I can't even explain this one. This one tops the weird scale for this movie and is about a group of guys who set off to have a good time with a bunch of fat girls and instead find something truly terrifying. So as always, I'm going to cover the good and the not so good, and we're going to start with the not so good. So this movie suffers from a lot of the tropes that independent movies fall into, where maybe some of the acting isn't so great, maybe some of the actors have never done this before, cinematography not super, and the lighting a bit off. Mainly there's one character who it seems like all of his lines are being read to him and he's just kind of repeating them. Luckily, he's not a major character and only appears in one story and then a small part in another story. So it's not so bad. But a lot of the people in the movie, this is probably their first movie, or they've maybe got one or two others under their belt, and you can tell that they're still relatively new to this. However, that's easy to look past. A lot of movies fall into this, and it's nothing new, and it's nothing to not watch a movie over. And it's really my only problem with this movie was some of the acting was pretty stiff. In general, throughout all of the stories, the gore is not really there. In fact, in Valkyrie's Bunker, there seems to be little to no blood at all, and all of the kills are implied off-screen. Now, this doesn't detract from the story at all, and it doesn't really change anything. Whether the kills are on-screen or off-screen, we know exactly what's happening, and it's not bad. In Massacre, things are a little weird. There's some blood there, but I really don't know if I would qualify that story as a horror story. But it is a little weird, and it is a little gross, and it is kind of funny. It's worth watching. Now, Hog Hunting, well, like I said before, this tops the list for weird. I can't even begin to explain some of the stuff I'm watching in this story. It has to do with a group of guys who decide that they're going to go and try to have a good time with some plus-size women, which is a thing they like to do, and that's, of course, absolutely fine. But when they get to the place where these girls are supposed to be waiting, instead they find something different, something almost but not quite human waiting for them, and also looking for a good time. This story is weird and kind of funny, but mostly off-putting. Yeah. All in all, this movie is actually pretty good, despite its minor flaws, and like I said, these flaws are flaws that you find in a lot of independent movies and definitely should not exclude any movie from your watch list. The stories themselves are interesting. They're a little weird, but a little funny, a lot of entertaining. The one thing that really stuck with me is the older hitman, not the older hitman, but the more experienced hitman. He reminds me of somebody, like a bigger name actor, and I can't friggin' place who he reminds me of. It's the way he speaks and the way he kind of presents himself. So if you guys watch this and you can figure out who he reminds you of, maybe he reminds us of the same person, let me know in the comments below. Who does this guy remind you of? Other than that, this movie is definitely worth a watch. It is available now on Amazon Prime. I encourage you, if you've got Amazon Prime, check this thing out. It is not bad. It's actually fairly entertaining and definitely worth the time to watch it. That being said, that's it for my review of An Hour to Kill. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down button. Do what you gotta do. All the links, including the trailer to this movie, will be found in the description. That includes my social media links, my email, if you want to send me your movie or a movie of somebody you know that you'd like to get reviewed. Again, that link is in the description, or you can email me directly at thehorroritis@gmail.com. So that's it for this video. I'm Dustin, this was Horroritis, and until next time, keep it creepy.